In this lesson, we're going to explore how you can easily add text to your work and set yourself apart from the rest. Because Midjourney fails at the moment with creating typographic designs, adding text is a real amazing way for you to stand out in the community. I've been creating a couple of graphic elements which I think are going to work really well for almost poster style designs. And the two I've selected to add some text to in this lesson is this one, which is a samurai. And the prompt for this was awesome graphic art, dynamic red, black, white, swirling samurai. And the second one will be poster Japanese mountain film. So I encourage you to choose a prompt that is possibly graphic in nature. So you might say poster or graphic or stylized. And you're going to get the type of design that might work really well with text. So go ahead and pick one of those. I also suggest for this lesson that we use a portrait aspect ratio. So something like 3:4 or 3:5. And remember to do that, you just have to put in --AR space and then your aspect ratio. So why not try --AR space 3:4. Add in your prompt, perhaps mystical landscape, Korean dream, graphic novel, or whatever you like. Export one of your images and upscale it. Then make sure you save the image. You can do that in a number of different ways. You can come into your own profile as we are here and click on the three dots and go to save image. What we're going to do is come to Figma.com. And Figma is a free online design software where you can easily add text. And once you're here and you've created an account, you're going to create a new design file. And from here, the easiest way to input your artworks is to come to your computer and drag them in. So you can just drag an image in and drop it inside of Figma. We're going to do this with two images for now. So I'm going to drag both of these in. To add some text, you're going to want to either come up to the top bar and click on T, or you're just going to press T on the keyboard. So we'll press T, and then you're going to add in the text that you want to add. So right now, I'm just going to add in Japan. On the right-hand side of the screen, you'll notice there are a number of different words and numbers, and these relate to how you can change the features of the text. So the first one is enter with a drop down, and this allows you to change the font. The next is the font style. So this means if you're having a thin version of the font, regular, bold, italic, etc. And each different font has a number of different styles available. Some have more than others. So if we come across to the number, this is going to increase the size of our font. So I'm just going to increase that by a factor of 10 up to 120 and put our word inside of the artwork. You can see that you can change the alignment of the text using these three icons. We have text align left, which is what it is at the moment, text align center, and text align right. So go ahead and center that text. I believe that the art of design and graphic design and typography is matching your text and the imagery in a way that enhances the experience of the image. And this is something that you'll hone. But here are a few tips. Firstly, I would consider the context of the image and what sort of type might relate well to that. So you might be looking for a strong contrast or something that fits in contextually well. As these two images for me have a Japanese theme, I'm going to be looking for a font that evokes the feel of Japan. And to do that, I'm going to come to a free font website. The one I'm suggesting you use is 1001 fonts. And from here, you can search keywords for your fonts. And it gives you some examples of things you might use, like foreign imitation, headline, faux Japanese, poster, whimsical, playful, fun, and much, much more. I've entered Japanese here, and I've selected electro-harmonics. Now, it's important to hover over on the side and understand what are the terms for using this font, because in the creative community, it's very important that we respect the intellectual property rights of other designers. And we can see that this font is available for free commercial use. which is great, which means that we can profit off of this font and use it for whatever we like. So we'll go ahead and download that one. See, alternatively, you have to see that the ones with the red tag are only free for personal use, which means you're allowed to use them for fun, but you should not be profiting or selling them, the artwork that you create with them. Once the font is downloaded, you can open it and install it to your computer. On a Mac, as I'm using, you can just double click on the font and it'll open in Font Book. And you just click on Install and the font will be installed. Then to use that inside of Figma, you need the Figma text installation plugin. So if you search for Figma font plugin on Google, you can select the second result down, which is access local fonts on your computer. Come into this and scroll down until you find the install the font service page. From the Figma downloads page, you can download your Mac OS installer or the Windows installer for using the fonts. Once you've downloaded and installed this plugin, you'll be able to access the fonts you have on your computer inside of Figma. I'll leave a link to this in the description of the lesson below. So now we come back to Figma, and if you refresh your art page, you will now have access to all fonts that you have inside of your computer. So let's go ahead and change this font to our new Electro Harmonix. And there we have it, already starting to look like an interesting poster, a travel poster perhaps. I'm going to go ahead and play around with a few of these parameters to get a better feel. For example, I'm going to increase the font size. I'm also going to play about with the letter spacing, which you can find below the font size in this little letter contained inside of 2 vertical lines. You can change this a little bit. I'm going to increase it slightly. And finally, I'm going to change the color of this text so it's more in keeping with the colors we have inside of the artwork. I'm just going to play with that a little bit until I get something that feels good. And finally, I'm going to select both these objects and come to the right-hand side of the panel where you can horizontally align the elements. So go ahead and add your text in a way that feels aesthetic. I'm going to also use exactly the same style on this other image just to show you how versatile creating a thematic can be. So if you're having a theme potentially of Japanese or maybe French artworks, you can use the same text style to bring a more coherent feel into your collection of works. If you've got maybe slightly diverse artworks, but you bring them all together by using the same style of typography, you can create a collection that's going to resonate more deeply within people. And this is really the art of branding. So here we have the Japan going on top of this guy. It's looking pretty cool. I'm going to change the color slightly to match more in with the image that we have here. Also feeling that maybe black could work here. Ooh, do we like black or do we like white more? So a great thing when you have a decision like this to make inside of design is to take both of the options and put them side by side. So we're going to have one option that is black and one option that is this cream color. And we're going to see which one of these do we prefer. Wow, it's a tough call. But one thing that humans are very good at is noticing the difference between things. So it's hard to remember what something was like, but if you have two things side by side, it's much easier to make a decision on which we like. And one of the most important things inside of art, and AI art specifically, is having your own sense of taste. So I'm going to go ahead and say that I prefer this one on the left. And that is the image that I will select. So now we have two cool images. I'm going to go ahead and maybe change the text on this one to another place in Japan. We're going to call this Kyoto. And this one reminds me a little bit of Mount Fuji. So I'm actually going to change the text on this one to Fuji. And that works even better, I think, with a shorter word there. And then we have two really interesting travel posters. You can imagine these working very well selling on Etsy or even in themed stores. And if you want to export these, all you have to do is select both of the objects and go ahead and group them by pressing Command G. You can then come down onto the right-hand side of the panel where you'll now have the export option. You can press on the plus and select your file type. I select PNG here, which I think is best, and go ahead and press Export Group. And now you have a group exported. And there we have it, our travel poster of Mount Fuji. In this lesson, we looked at how you can add text and typographic elements to your artworks. This is a great way to stand out in AI art at the moment because nobody can create good text inside of the art generators natively. So I encourage you to go ahead and use Figma and select a font that's going to work coherently with your piece. And remember, this is going to work very well for illustrated, graphic, poster style creations.